I'm going to show you how to print money in 2025. I personally used these 7 tools to make over $1 million in the last 12 months. Not only that, but I saved over $400,000 with these AI tools, and I'm going to show you exactly the steps I used. I'm going to actually show you my precise workflows and show you how to set up the tool so that you can use it just like me to not only gain more revenue, but cut costs. You're especially going to want to stay for tool 7. This one has made me the most money. So let's get right into it with tool 1, Zapier. You've heard about Zapier before and you've heard all about AI agents, but no one has shown you in depth how to configure Zapier and build AI agents that make you money. So we all know that Claude by Anthropic is by far the best writer out there. Unlike ChatGPT, it doesn't love M dashes. Unlike Grok and Gemini, it doesn't write overly complex and overly verbose language. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you how I have connected Claude to my email inbox and to my Slack inbox to automatically draft replies to messages for me. So what we have here is my personal email agent that I use today. And what it does is every 2 minutes it's checking, have I gotten a new email? Then it's sending a message to Claude to say, what is this email about? It's filtering that for certain things. So you can see I have these filter conditions in here. For instance, is it a sponsorship email or a product purchasing power parity email? Based on the type of email, I have a certain system prompt for Claude. And based on other types of emails, I have another more generic system prompt. And you can make this infinitely more complex and keep adding branching logic. In fact, let's go ahead and do some now. So let's go ahead and say, if the response content text contains, and what does that context text look like, right? So let me just show you. I've asked Claude, categorize the email as one of the following 3, PPP, podcast, or other. PPP is when they ask for a purchasing parity discount. So let's go ahead and take the podcast category because the podcast category is not represented in here, right? So we're going to go ahead and say if the response contains podcast, then, and then we're going to go ahead and change the system prompt. So the system prompt was with this relevant PPP links before. We're going to go ahead and select Claude Sonnet 4. And we're going to say, hey, you are Aakash Gupta, the podcast host of the Product Growth Podcast. You try to book guests using this meeting link. You can put my podcast meeting link directly into that prompt so it knows what meeting link. You generally come up with a topic that you pitch people on. When people have questions about the stats, you point them to 50K listeners per episode and a promotion on my LinkedIn of over 260K. Okay, so now what you don't do is you don't just set these system prompts up and then go. Right? What you actually want to do is you want to go ahead and do like a test step. So you can run this test step methodology where you actually test and keep improving and making your branching logic more and more complex. And that's where the Zapier Copilot is really useful. So you could say, hey, I want to add in another filter condition for another category of email. Please add that to my Zap. And this is the magic of Zapier and why we're using Zapier for this. Their Zapier Copilot will actually go in and add in those filter conditions. So you click this, boom, adds in those filter conditions. Let's say you have a question about this. Hey, please fill in the filter conditions. The AI Copilot will actually try to infer what you want it to do, and then it'll add that additional context in. And so you can have this AI copilot build your AI agent. It's agents all the way down, AI agents into AI agents. And you notice how quickly it's done that. That is the power of Zapier with Claude. It's essentially the equivalent of a $1,200 VA that you could hire for the cost of Zapier, which is $20 per month, and Anthropic API credits. For me, I have it drafting emails to all of my emails that I get for work, and it costs less than $10 per month. So for less than $30 per month, I'm able to capture and get all this value and save $1,170 per month. Over a year, that's over $14,000. And that is the power of AI tools like Zapier and AI agents. If you don't want to use Zapier, you can use some other AI agent builder tools out there like Make.com, Lindy, N8N. A lot of them have similar functionality, but Zapier is the best, in my opinion, because of this AI copilot. Let's move on to tool 2, V0. Traditionally, you had to hire a developer, and that would cost a lot of money. A simple front-end prototype would cost you something like $5,000 if you went to Upwork to create it. Now with a tool like V0, you can prompt the tool and immediately get a quick prototype that you can iterate on. Let me show you my workflow for using tools like this. So my workflow is actually to start with Claude. So let's come up with a problem we want to solve, right? Problem to solve. Creating invoices for freelancers. Stripe is expensive, hard to use. Want to create, so the solution is like, let's say $3 per month invoice generating tool. Act as a prompt engineer expert. Create a simple prompt, not too complex, just demonstrating the functionality. To put into V0 Lovable Bolt to build this. And so Claude is going to come up with a nice, simple prompt that we can use. And although I've said V0 is the tool I want to use, I'm not just going to go to V0. In fact, I never recommend that you just rely on one tool. I'm going to plug that prompt into 3 different AI prototyping tools so that I can see which one is really going to give me the best experience and the best version. And by the way, if it pastes in like that, you can always do Apple Shift V. That's an amazing shortcut to use. And so we've now put that in, and we have the V0 responding back to us, how it's going to work. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and check the others as well. You know, Lovable, it's spinning up its preview. It's going to build this. It's showing like the tools it's going to use, JS PDF, UUID, and it's going to start to create the design system. Here on Bolt's side, you can see it's thinking about these requirements. It's creating the features and the design elements. It's installing the dependencies. So let's return back and take a look. V0 already created, Lovable still spinning up, Bolt still spinning up. You can see why I choose V0. It's always so fast. And boom, create a professional invoice, create invoice history. You can create a new voice. You can enter the name and the numbers. Let's go ahead and see how good it is, right? So we're going to create product growth, right? We're going to email product growth for a sponsorship opportunity. We're going to go ahead and say LA. We're going to say, hey, this is our invoice number. We would like to invoice you for a podcast ad. And it's going to be, $750. We're going to do 5 of those. The tax rate here is 5.25%. Let's go ahead and generate and download PDF. And let's take a look. Boom. It's created the PDF for you. So now here's the real magic. You can give it updates. I want the invoice to look more professional. I want an option to input address so tax rate is calculated automatically. And I want the site to look more professional. If you give it that feedback, it's gonna go ahead and then iterate. And in the meantime, you can see, did another prototyping tool generate a good version? Lovable, still working. You can go ahead and take a look at Bolt then and say, hey, how is Bolt? This might actually be a generator that we like more, and you can try that out. And so that's really the magic of these tools, is once you do a parallel prototyping workflow, you can start to iterate on one or two of them. For instance, this one, let's go ahead and close Lovable and just continue on with Bolt and V0. We can then ask Bolt, how do we add in payments? Let's add in payments. People get one invoice free, and then they hit a paywall asking them to upgrade. And you can continue to iterate and build out your SaaS products just like that. AI prototyping tools changing the game. If you want to build a product, as we're going to continue to do, you're going to save at least that $5,000. Or another way to think about it is, if you had spent $8,000 to $12,000 on a software developer, they might have taken a week or two to build this prototype. So you're saving whatever, $2,500 to $4,000 a month. And I personally have been using this for a variety of different technical use cases where I build up a little custom solution for myself. For example, I have vibe coded a video to GIF converter. Normally, those video to GIF converters, they cost money, or they have low quality, or they have a watermark. But I actually saved that $50 per month of paying for Adobe Creative Cloud by just vibe coding it myself. So not only can you get more money from building new products, but you can actually save money by preventing yourself from buying products using these tools. That's the power of V0 and other AI prototyping tools like it. If you don't like the tools I've shown you, you can try Base 44, you can try the version that AWS or Google. Everybody's building these AI prototyping tools, and they're incredibly powerful. So the next tool that I want to show you is Cursor. Cursor you've probably heard of as the AI tool that your developer uses, but it's not just for your developer. In this case, we've built a prototype with V0. Now I'm going to show you how you can take that prototype into V0 and turn it into a real app that you're using. In V0, I'm going to go ahead and hit the download code button and then download zip. After that zip is downloaded, I'm going to switch over to Cursor. Cursor is going to want to know what project you open. So you go ahead and open and find that file, and you open that file here. Then you can start to talk with it. So in this case, I've gone ahead and installed it already, you can see, and it says, okay, now you can use that at this local host. So we can then go check over here and see. When you run into an error, you can just post that into Cursor. Then you notice Cursor has fixed the error. Now we have this website live. Now we've got this other error here. And so we can talk about this error showing up to Cursor as well. So if you have trouble, you just ask Cursor Agent to help you fix it. A lot of times it'll ask you if you want to make those changes automatically. You can say yes. And now look at that. It's loading with no error. You can then use Cursor to continue to improve this further and further. So you can download the zip file, then you can head over to Cursor and say, okay, this is my new folder. Then Cursor is going to load up all of those components, and you're going to say, hey, please deploy the app so I can test it in localhost. It's going to tell you exactly the steps you need to take. In my case, it tried to use PNPM, but we don't have that. We have NPM, so it's going to go ahead and create it with that. And boom, I'm able to create that app, and I'm even able to create the invoice. So now Cursor can take what you have in V0 and you can start to build it out. You can say, okay, now I want to build out the backend here so I can deploy this with payments and auth. Please go ahead. Right? And so then Cursor is going to become your coding agent. You look at how it's doing everything. It's installing the right dependencies with Stripe. It's going to go ahead and go through and get the right steps. And eventually you get an app that actually works. So many people are so afraid of Cursor, but there's not much to it. You view the terminal, You have these files here on your left. You have this screen running here about what you're getting from the terminal. And you have this agent here. And the vision of the Cursor team is to allow you to just code via natural language. So every error you run into, you can just put back straight into Cursor. And it's just gonna keep going, and you keep telling it to keep going, and it'll keep moving forward. So that's the power of Cursor. As you can see with how it inferred Stripe from payments, the Cursor agent is incredibly autonomous, and it will save you from having to spend $8,000 a month on a senior developer, which would cost you $96,000 per year. So by this third tool, we are already saving you $115,000. Let's go find some more savings with tool 4.
Today's episode is brought to you by Miro. Let me ask you something. How many tools are you juggling just to get a single project across the finish line? One for brainstorming, another for planning, something else for tracking tickets? That's where Miro comes in. It becomes an all-in-one collaboration workspace. Whether you're consolidating user research from several interviews, developing and synthesizing product briefs or a wireframe, or project managing development, Miro brings everyone into the same space. It's fast, intuitive, and fully loaded with features like project templates, two-way Jira sync, and integration with software like Draw.io and PlantUML. Miro's AI features can be used to synthesize elements in a board to develop a ready-to-review product requirements document in seconds. If you're tired of tab overload and scattered workflows, try Miro. Head to Miro.com and see why over 90 million users choose Miro to guide from idea to outcome. Today's episode is brought to you by Jira Product Discovery. If you're like most product managers, you're probably in Jira, tracking tickets and managing the backlog. But what about everything that happens before delivery? Jira Product Discovery helps you move your discovery, prioritization, and even road mapping work out of spreadsheets and into a purpose-built tool designed for product teams. Capture insights, prioritize what matters, and create roadmaps you can easily tailor for any audience. And because it's built to work with Jira, everything stays connected from idea to delivery. Used by product teams at Canva, Deliveroo, and even The Economist. Check out why and try it for free today at Atlassian.com/product-discovery. That's Atlassian.com/product-discovery. Jira Product Discovery. Build the right thing. The fourth tool is VO3, the video generation model by Google. Creating professional video ads used to take $10,000 plus and weeks of production. Now it's just a good prompt away. So let's go ahead and show you how to use a VO3 to replace a $10,000 ad crew. First, we're going to start with going to Gemini 2.5 Pro, which is available at gemini.google.com. Make sure that you've chosen 2.5 Pro. You're going to say, create a simple, short, 1-paragraph, 3-second prompt in this style for VO3. Create 5 options to promote my invoice generator. It's an ad beginning, right? So you give it some context, act as a master VO3 prompter. You give it some context, you tell it what exactly you want to do, you give it some act as, and then it's going to start to think. What are the video concepts? What are the prompts? How are we going to improve those video concepts? What are going to be the initial scenes for those concepts? And it's going to do all the work that you used to have to pay a marketer for so simply, and it's going to develop the video scripts. And so now we have 5 options: smartphone, contractor, creating an invoice. I love this one, right? There's single window shot, creative professional, overwhelmed. Oh, this is good too. So we have a couple different ones. I think this one's probably the best out of the 5 here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to head to Google. We're going to search for VO3. We're going to hit try in Flow, create with Flow. And this is going to take us into the Flow editor, where you can start a new project and we can just simply paste in create with VO3 fast. Now Google is going to get to work with 2 options for us. All right, here's the moment of truth. Let's check out our ads. Awesome opening shot. Then you can go into Gemini. You can ask it to then create the next scene. Now it's going to use that to create the second element of our scene. And you can see that that prompt video could use a little improvement, and so you can go in and continue to iterate and improve these things, but eventually you can tie together scenes in this beautiful way on VO3. You can create 8-second little viral shorts, or you can tie together scenes to create entire 60-second ads. And the best part is that this Google AI Pro plan just costs $20 per month. And so you can create amazing videos for really cheap. Here's an example of the type of viral scene people are able to create with VO3. So if you put together the savings over a year, you're getting well over $120,000 in savings if you were to create 10 of these ads, of which I've created many of these ads. And this tool ends up paying itself in the first year. If you were trying to market your invoice generator, here's exactly how. So we've shown you how to build it, how to market it. Let's go to the next step of marketing with Tool 5, Lindy. So I've talked through how to build an app in V0, then take it into Cursor in order to build it for production. And now I'm going to talk about how you can market that app beyond just VO3 for viral image ads and viral video ads, but also for marketing more than that with our fifth tool, Lindy. Lindy is kind of like Zapier, but it's actually even easier to use. It has more AI native functionality built in, and instead of paying for AI API credits, you just pay Lindy and then they charge you for the credits on the back end. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how you can use Lindy as your vibe marketing powerhouse. One of the first ways I use Lindy is to turn my podcasts into blog posts. And so I'll show you how you do this. You go into their templates, you find this turn podcast into blog posts, you add that into your Lindy, and then you start to get to work on configuring this. And so here's how this Lindy works. It receives the URL, and then you choose your model to transcribe it. I've chosen Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Then you create an email post, and you've given it an example blog post so that it has an idea. And then all of a sudden you can start to edit and revise the content. And then you just start to test these things out and you're ready to go. And it's created your podcast. Then you can edit and revise that content and you've got a blog post. And so instead of having to pay somebody, which I was paying them $1,200 a month in order to create these blog posts around my podcast, I now have an AI employee doing it for me. You can create new agents too. So we could create one start from scratch. Let's say we want to create an agent. You can go into the flow editor and this is where you'll start. So when I create a new LinkedIn post, what I would like you to do is enter an AI agent, convert this LinkedIn post into a great X thread. Use most of the same words, but split up nicely. You can add in this next step, perform an action, create a draft in my Typefully with that LinkedIn post. And then you can perform another action, schedule a draft. Boom. And so all of a sudden now I've replaced another $1,200 where I was paying somebody to cross-post my LinkedIn content. So we've created 2 vibe marketing AI agents to market our invoice generator, or I personally have used to save over $2,400 a month, which is over $25,000 a year in savings just through Lindy. And Lindy costs you $50 a month. So that's a huge savings. Instead of $2,400 for an employee, $50 a month for a Lindy. That's the power of AI agents. Let's move into the 6th AI tool that I use, which is Riverside AI. Editing podcasts used to take me over 4 hours per 1 hour of content. So I started to pay an editor $2,000 a month, but Riverside AI has made that so I don't need to pay that editor. So let's take a look at this podcast that I've recorded with Flo Crivello. He's the CEO of Lindy actually. And that podcast is going to be one of the next podcasts that's coming out. How am I going to edit this podcast? I'm going to go into Riverside AI and I'm going to generate a magic episode. And it's actually going to go ahead and generate that magic episode for me. And while it's generating that magic episode, I can go in here and I can edit that further. So let's say that I want to do something like change the layouts or change the text cards. It's all super simple. For instance, I want to remove "I guess" from his text. Boom, remove. So you recently went viral on LinkedIn. Right now it's using a split screen. Maybe for this one, I actually want to use full screen, so I can switch it to full screen. Then here, I want to go back to split screen. I can go ahead and switch it back to split screen. If I want to change the size of those split screens, I can go ahead and do that here too as well. And there's this really cool feature in here, smart layouts, which I often use, which is go ahead and apply these really cool smart layouts. I used to also pay $2,000 a month to an audio engineer. Now I can replace that audio engineer with this Trax AI engineer here, where I go in here to Trax AI producer, and I go ahead and ask it to apply magic audio. It's going to go ahead and enhance the audio of people, and I can even toggle how much I want to or not want to toggle and enhance that audio. So it's creating the entire episode for me. That's amazing and saves me tons of money. $4,000 for video and audio engineers. On top of that, I was paying $1,500 a month for people to clip. Now I can create magic clips within Riverside, and it's going to automatically go ahead and create a bunch of clips from my episode that I can then use in order to promote my episode. So it's saving me over $5,500 per month between these simple tools. And if I wanted to, I could go even further and take this from Riverside and put it into Opus Clips, which is actually something that I do. So I go into Opus Clips, opus.pro, go into my dashboard, and here you can see I can hook it up to an episode. I can pull out clips. I can add in clips. These clips are going to have hooks and flows and value and trend analysis. And between Riverside and Opus, I can create an entire podcast. So if you wanted to create a podcast to support your invoice generator SaaS, or you wanted to use it to improve your content, you could as well. What used to take me tons of hours and tons of cost from the team is now pretty much AI supported. Between Riverside for $29 a month and Opus Clips for $20 a month, for $50 a month, you have an entire podcast editing team at your fingertips. So that's the power of creating a podcast with Riverside and Opus Clips and massively increasing your following, because I have grown this podcast to 50,000 listeners per episode, and you can too. It's not just the time saved and the cost savings either here, it's the new revenue generated. I wouldn't have been able to create a podcast if I didn't have these AI tools that were enhancing my workflows. And so you can think about the $18,000 I make from the podcast as additional revenue that you're creating as a result of these AI tools. It's not just even that $5,500 saved. So it's a huge impact to your bottom line. Before we dive deeper, let's talk about something every PM faces: getting alignment on product decisions. You know that feeling when you're trying to explain a user flow to engineering or justify a design choice to leadership and you're just describing it with your hands? That's where Mobbin comes in. Mobbin is the world's largest library of real-world mobile and web app designs from industry-leading apps like Airbnb, Uber, and Pinterest. Instead of spending hours taking screenshots or hunting for inspiration, you can instantly find exactly how successful products handle onboarding, paywalls, checkout flows, whatever you're facing. Over 1.7 million product builders use Mobbin to benchmark against best-in-class products and show their teams proven solutions. Whether you need to convince stakeholders there's a better way to handle user activation or research how top apps approach feature discovery, Mobbin gives you the visual proof to back up your product decisions. Check out mobbin.com/Aakash. That's mobbin.com/AAKASH and get 20% off your first year. Is your AI product burning budget without results? Drowning in frameworks but can't improve your LLM performance? That's exactly why Parlance Labs exists, today's podcast partner. They're an engineer-only AI consulting firm led by Hamal Hussein. No slide decks, just practical solutions. They've helped 30-plus companies like Honeycomb, DBT Labs, and even LangChain dramatically improve their AI through systematic evaluation. Here's what makes them different. They don't want dependency. They teach your team to evaluate AI systems and optimize performance so you can fire them when ready. Ready to stop guessing and start improving your AI? Visit parlance-labs.com. That's parlance-labs.com or email consulting@parlance-labs.com. Now let's move on to tool 7, and I told you this is the icing on the cake. This is the tool that brings it all together. We're talking about a Claude AI Copilot. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go into Claude projects. You're gonna create a new project. Let's go ahead and create this, right? Podcaster Copilot, okay? So, what are you trying to achieve? Have an amazing podcast Copilot helping me figure out guests, research and improve interview guides, create great titles, and all the rest, right? And so you create this project, and then the key here is just give it amazing instructions. And so what I like to do is actually ask Claude to improve the project myself. So we're going to go into Claude and say, hey, give my Claude project really good instructions as a podcast copilot, one that challenges me, gives me good titles, great questions and research, and the like. And then you want to add in really good context as well on your podcast, right? So context, my podcast has 13.5K subs on YouTube, 45K subs on Spotify and Apple, is emailed to my 177K subs on Substack, promo to my LinkedIn of 261K. I'm a PM AI growth expert. We cover those topics. Bigger guests do better, but topic is the most important thing, right? And so you've defined all this stuff. Now it's going to go ahead and create those project instructions for you. And then you can go ahead and take a look and you can say, hey, do I want to edit any of this? Are there any things that I really need to focus on? But no, I think these are perfect, right? It has good title formulas, episode development processes, guest vetting criteria. And look at this, it's given everything scores. And so this is the power of using Claude to create a Claude Copilot, right? And I think we're going to add in maybe even a little bit more, add in more here. I don't have competitors per se, but good podcasts that I like to learn and improve from. Lenny's podcast. What other podcasts, right? Maybe Dwarkesh's podcast, Lex Friedman. So these are some of the top AI product and growth podcasts out there. And so now it's going to edit this even further. And all of a sudden, you now have an amazing AI Copilot out there. And so you're going to go ahead and we're going to copy this with the copy button when it's all set. You paste that in as your instructions. And now let's go ahead and test our Podcaster Copilot. So we want to ask it what guest should I have next, but we need to think about, I probably need to update it with the guests that I do have so we can add in more project knowledge. I recently created an infographic of all of the guests that I had on my podcast. So let's go ahead and put that in. What guest should I have next? We're going to go ahead and ask Claude that now. So it's going to generate some cool guests now. Sriram Christian, Christina Cacioppo, Des Trainer. And then you can go even further and you can say, okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and ask it to draft some cold messages to actually reach out to these people. And the Claude Copilot is going to get to work, right? Look at this. For Sriram, it's talking about a thread. It's got an angle for the episode. It's got everything there. And so you can even stop and you can say, hey, my name is Aakash. Please use that. My podcasts are 90 mins. Please use that. My booking link is... And every time you see these things that you want to improve it with, you don't need to just go into your chat. You can actually go into the project as well. So while this chat is executing, we can go into our project. You can edit our podcast Copilot, right? With some more text content. Hey, my booking link is cold email notes, right? And then we put in my booking link is, and all of that other information. And so all of the sudden, now it's going to come up with those without having me to tell it next time. Look at the quality of these messages now. It has in my URL, and that's really the power of Claude Copilot. And look at that. This is so awesome, right? So we've got these cold messages. We can edit these cold messages, but overall, it's giving you a Copilot to work for you. And so what are the savings that I've achieved using this? Well, I don't have to pay for a podcast strategist. That was costing me $1,000 a month. I don't have to pay for guest booking. That was costing me $1,000 a month. I don't have to pay for interview guides and research. That was costing me another $1,000 a month. So by paying $20 a month for Claude Pro, I'm saving $3,000 a month or $36,000 a year on my team. And I'm again able to create this $18,000 podcast business fully supported by AI agents. And you can do the same for your businesses. You can get rid of AI employees. You can create new business lines that you would never create before unless you had them. As you can see through these 7 AI tools, not only did I save over $400,000 a year across all these tools, but I also earned over $200,000 a year through this podcast. And so there's an immense amount that you can do to drive your business. Let's go ahead and walk through exactly what we did today. We have given you 7 AI tools to print money. Where did it start with? It all started with automating your email. Using a tool like Zapier, you can go from spending an hour a day on email to 10 minutes because Claude AI is going to create email drafts for you along every way. Then we unleashed the power of you being able to build your own business because you have this more time. We started with creating a software product using V0 to create your prototype, and then we used Cursor to create your backend for that. After that, we helped you market your product. So you can use VO3 to create viral ads, and you can use Lindy to create marketing automations, to cross-post posts, to create blog posts for your podcast. And then you can either create a podcast to grow that product or create it as a separate business line like I have. You can use Riverside AI to automate all of this creation, and you can use Claude AI Copilot to help you strategically grow. These 7 tools are exactly how I've made over $1 million in the last 12 months and how I'm gonna make over $2 million in the next 12 months. If you wanna save $400,000 like I did and make this kind of money, implement these steps and let me know where you encounter problems down in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.